What's up, guys? Yale Greenfield, aka the Live King, back with another episode of the poker vlog here. Still in Denver, Colorado. That means I'm up in Blackhawk playing a little bit of poker. As far as my life's been going, I haven't actually been playing a ton of poker, not nearly as much as I would if I'm in other places. Kind of haven't been feeling like making the drive up to play 2-5 midweek, sticking to a little more of the 5-10 games. There's been ice storms, there's been a lot of stuff going on here in Denver, but I made it up here to Blackhawk to play a little bit of poker. We're gonna be at the Monarch again. That is the preeminent place to play. It's the nicest casino in all of Blackhawk. It's where I recommend you come. I've been spending a little bit of time still doing some hiking, checking out some trails. I went to a cidery for the first time. That was new. I'd been to breweries before, but this was a cidery with beautiful views. Been out to dinner with some friends too, hanging out, trying to enjoy myself a little bit. Nothing of major note to review on the food side. Now I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna shoot it up a little bit. We'll probably get some 5-10, maybe some 5-10-20. See you guys at the end for a recap on what I'm seeing, thinking, and feeling. And if you're enjoying this content, really appreciate it. Please hit that subscribe button. We've got more interesting content coming at you, new ideas. Hopefully you guys will come along with us for the ride. We're about 25 minutes into the session before we pick up our first relevant hand of the day. 2 red 9s in the big blind. Hijack is going to call $10. Button's going to call as well. Small blind completes for 5 more. And I think we have a pretty easy decision on our hands.
75.
70.
So I shoot it up to $75. Hijack makes the quick call. Small blind's in there as well, so we're going to go 3 ways to this flop. We get 7-6-2, 2 hearts. Small blind quickly checks. This hand is perfect to bet for a combination of value and protection. So I go with $140.
How much?
140.
And the hijack in the top left of the screen reaches for chips, puts in the call, and the small blind folds. So we're gonna hit this turn heads up. And it's an ace of diamonds, an amazing card for us. We can have pocket aces, ace king of hearts, ace queen of hearts, ace jack of hearts, hands like that. I think he's pretty weak. When I decide how much I want to bet,
180.
I think a small size is good, $180. He verbally calls very quickly.
Ace 9's good. Duly noted.
And the river's a jack of diamonds. I check quickly. He checks back. We show the 9s. And he turns over what appears to be King 7 suited, a pretty loose call for 75 pre, got stuck flopping top pair, called a little bit more on the turn, and somehow we earn ourselves an $875 pot to start this day off. This hand is going to be played against our friend David on our direct right. We battle him really hard throughout the session, so I want you to pay attention. In this one, we've got pocket 10s in the hijack. David opens to 30 in the low jack. We shoot it up to 110.
We're just trying to get under your skin.
I'm not trying to get under your skin.
I am.
And David's gonna call. Heads up 3-bet pot. And it's 8-4-2, 2 hearts. David checks. Here, I think it's hard for him to have a lot of really good hands, so I think something on the bigger side is good. I bet 145. David puts in the call. Turn's pretty interesting. It's a queen of spades. So there's an overcard to our 10s now, and a lot of draws available when David checks. I'm gonna have some whiffs like ace king and ace jack, and I'm gonna have some big draws also. I have a middling hand in this situation, so when I'm deciding between betting or checking, I eventually settle on a check. 10 of diamonds on river, and we've got middle set suddenly. David checks again. I think when he checks 3 times, and specifically after I check the turn, he's mostly pretty weak. But David's not scared money, and he's pretty smart and thoughtful throughout the hands. So this is an obvious bet. I'm not going to try to milk him. I go with 475, a very big and polarizing bet to make David think that I can have either really big hands or bluffs only.
Problem is you'd be bluffing with the best hand. Pretty suspicious, to be honest with you.
Listening to what he's saying as he folds, it seems like the bet did the job. He was really questioning whether or not we could ever have it in sequence, betting 475 on the river after checking the turn, but eventually he does make a fold and insinuates that his hand just wasn't very strong at all. I'm mid-conversation with David on my right in this hand, not really paying a ton of attention to the action. We get an early position limp. Low Jack, a very, very passive player, I've seen him limp hands as good as pocket 8s and pocket 9s, is now raising to $35. My intuition is that he's got a monster here, something like aces, kings, or queens, because if you're limping 8s and 9s, what can you have when you raise? David calls on my direct right, and I decide to call my 6-5 of hearts on the button. I would normally fold, and if the players were really competent or really good in this hand, specifically the pre-flop raiser, I would always fold. But here, I decided to take a rip on the button with a suited connector, and it's a call party. 5 of us hit the flop. And incredible. 4-3-2, 2 hearts. We flop a straight and a straight flush redraw. This is about as lucky as you can get. Action checks to the pre-flop raiser now. We see him reaching in the top left corner of the screen, firing nearly full pot $175. What a dream for me sitting on the button with a hand this massive. But everything keeps getting better when David on my right raises to 400. So I have the mortal nuts, and we have a full pot bet and a raise in front. This is not a situation I get into very frequently. Stacks are deep. David and I have 33.90 effective. That's my stack, he covers me. The low jack's got about 1,400, so I have to decide between raise and call. I don't play a lot of calls in sequence, but I don't get in this sequence a lot. I do eventually decide to just call, hoping the low jack does have something like aces, kings, or queens, and might be foolish enough to reshove.
All in.
And there he goes, right on cue, all in.
All in.
And now David's all in. So this is really easy because we got the nuts in a redraw. We're in there too, and in Colorado, you can only go one time. Ace of spades on the turn, 7 of hearts on the river, so we have a flush now, and we table our hand. David's got pocket 3s for unimproved middle set, a very big cooler with our 2 hands. But top left of the screen hasn't revealed his hand yet, the low jack. And oh my god, he shows ace-5 of clubs. I could have never imagined he had that hand. He flopped a straight, I flopped a straight, David flopped a set, and it's an $8,360 pot that started off with a $10 big blind. Probably one of the biggest single raise pots I've ever won in my life. Just amazing luck for us. We are red hot and looking to stay that way with pocket aces in middle position. We raised to $35, and this hand is going to feature one of the best players I encountered in Colorado. His name's Leland, and he's got the button. And he's 3-bet $210. Now, Leland is not the kind of guy to not have any range. He's aggressive, he's tough, he's very smart, and the action is going to fold back to us. With 2 aces, we're going to be 4-betting, and take note that it's $5,200 effective, so 520 big blinds, very, very deep. I got to decide what size. I eventually settle on $475. I think I'd go never smaller than 440. I size up a little bit here. Maybe I could have gone bigger. I don't know. But Leland doesn't take much time. He does put in the call. So in theory, a tight range on tight range spot. And we get 10-6-2, which really should never hit either of us. We can both have pocket 10s sometimes. Maybe he retains that hand a little bit more than I do, but this is an amazing flop for a 4-bet pot. I think a small bet would be okay, like 25%. However, knowing this is so good for my range, I decide to size up a little bit and bet 375. Turns out this is probably a small mistake, but nothing egregious. And Leland quickly calls. We get the best turn in the deck, a deuce of spades. So it's unlikely he's got pocket 6s or of course pocket 2s, which would be absurd. He can still have pocket 10s, but against somebody like Leland, who I respect, I just want to play range-on-range poker. I'm not going to try to milk him or go for value with something small, targeting jacks, queens, or kings. I just want to play my range as is. And if I had ace-king or ace-queen here on a deuce of spades turn, I'd be firing a big size. $1,200 is what I decide, and he puts it in the muck really quick. So everything going our way today, and another good pot. We've got ace-king off. David's raised it to 60 on our right from the small blind. We're in the big blind and make it $235. And believe it or not, this is my favorite hand. Straddle folds. And David predictably calls. He doesn't give up. 8-7-6 rainbow. He checks. We're going to have a lot of checks on this flop in particular. It's a better flop for him than us, so I check back. 9 of diamonds on the turn, and we've got absolutely nothing working after sticking in $235 pre-flop. And now David bets 200, and I just have to put this hand in the muck. But check this out. Pocket aces he shows us, and this is just another form of run good. When you're looking at your sessions, how much you won or lost, I get a flop I don't want to bluff on and can't continue on in the turn and lose the stone min. We're about 5.5 hours into the session. We're playing 5, 10, 20 in this one, and the small blind calls 20. David Tarwright makes it $110. That's over a 5x raise. I don't love the idea of just calling with 6 high for over 5x. Don't really want to fold, so option 3, let's shoot it up, $350 to go. David and I are 6,000 effective, and if I can get both him and the small blind to fold, that would be great. Generally, I just want to have a little bit of coverage at a low frequency, so they don't think I just have big cards all the time. Small blind folds. David orders a whiskey on the rocks, and also puts in the call. Flops king high with 2 clubs, so we have a 4 flush, and he's checked it to us. Pretty good flop considering we've raised to $350 with the 6-5 of clubs pre. And I bet $300, and he quickly folds. And the reason I'm showing this one is just to show you the flow of a session, and that we sometimes want to have some low-frequency pre-flop bluffs, suited connectors, and 1-gappers to mix it up so the players can't always know where we're at in hands. This hand is going to be played with the $20 straddle. We've got 10-9 of spades under the gun.
60.
And open to 60. Small blind's going to call. And David's going to call from the straddle. 3 of us hit this flop, which comes 8-7-3 rainbow with 1 spade. They both check to me. We've got an open ender, a backdoor flush draw, and 2 overs. So I think this is a very good semi-bluffing spot in this 3-way configuration.
80.
I go for a bet of 80. Small blind folds. And David wants to see a turn. 3 of spades on the turn. David checks, and I think this is a very, very tricky card because he's unlikely to fold a hand with an 8 in it, and he does have plenty of 3x in range. But we've added some equity, and I go for a bet of 250, which I think is a little worse than checking. David's taking his time before acting, and eventually settles on a raise of $650 to go. Now this is a pretty small raise, and I don't know what to make of it. As I peel the hand back, I try to think, does he have a hand like 8-8 or 7-7? I think those hands could trap the flop some percentage of the time. I don't know if he would raise this small with those hands or not, trying to build the pot. He's got plenty of 3x in range, but the price is just so good, and we have a lot of ways to improve, assuming he doesn't have a boat already. So I do put in the call. I'm hoping to improve on the river, but I don't. It's a 4 diamonds, big brick. And now David checks. It's a little weird. I do think he's tricky enough to maybe try something like check raise pocket 8s or pocket 7s. I think all 3x would bet. And I think when I have hands like ace high and king high, I could check and take my showdown value, even though it's not a lot. But with 10 high, we have no showdown value at all. So I fire 1,000.
Ooh, I lose. Let's call.
And he shows a wild combo. 5-4 spades, which was a flopped gut shot straight draw that turned a flush draw and river to pair. And he just wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't going to have it this time. We're the $20 straddle in this hand. Under the gun limps. We peel ace 2 offsuit. David calls the big blind, and I check my option. 9-4, 3-2 spades. We've got a gut shot straight draw, and everybody checks quickly. Bang, 5 of clubs on the turn. So when it's checked to us, I want to start building it. $45. Under the gun folds. David's gonna call. River's a king of hearts. Now David does something pretty unorthodox. He leads for 100. He is capable of bluffing, but I think this hand is more indicative of something that's improved, specifically with a king in it. My intuition is he's got a hand like squarely king 9 or king 5 maybe. I think 6-7 might have raised on the turn. So I go for a big raise of 450. David snap calls with one chip. And he pushes his hand forward, indicating that we've got the best of it here. And he shows king 4 for river 2 pair. So a small 3-way limp pot turns into a pot of over $1,000.
All right, guys, that's it from this Saturday night at Monarch. I want to once again thank the Monarch Casino for having me, letting me vlog freely up here. It's been an amazing experience. And with that, I want to start with the good. The good is this is a 14-table poker room. The dealers are absolutely lights out. Really, really, really impressed with everything the Monarch has to offer. And I'm not just saying that because they're allowing me to vlog. This place is really top-notch for a 14-table poker room. The other good, I won an $8,300 pot as a 58% equity favorite, I believe, or thereabout. You're always running good when you hold a 58%er. Very, very fortunate. The bad. I think the bad is really this one hand that I found particularly tricky, the 10-9 of spades hand. I'm finally starting to get over it a little bit, but it's that sick feeling you have when you're not sure what the best play is. I'm up against a guy who's very, very tricky and pretty sticky. I've got a 10-high hand that I don't think is worth folding on the turn. I don't know if I can 3-bet it. And then when he checks river, it's really just like one of the only bluffs I'm gonna have there. I'm just not gonna have, against this guy in particular, the way the hand plays, I'm just gonna be bluffing so infrequently. And I think the combination of not knowing if I should 3-bet the turn, not knowing if I should really be bluffing river, and then two things, I didn't know if I should pick the size I picked, which is essentially trying to fold out like kind of the exact hand he's got, or going for a big overbet size. And the big overbet size might have actually worked. But I guess what I'm really getting at with this hand, that's the kind of shit that just haunts me, kind of not being better or not being better in the moment. Look, I had a good day, but you have to play the key hands really, really well, and this was the key hand of the day. Cooling people's face off, straight versus set is not a key hand. Anybody can play that hand. Results, in for 3,000, out for 84.43. That's a profit of $5,443. There is a caveat here. That was the profit for the day, but I do want you guys to know I've been showing some pretty big wins out here in Denver, but I've been on a slight break even, like a minor downer besides that. I'm not just showing up to the casino and winning $5,000 every time I show up. They don't make a vlog because I don't even get enough significant hands in a day to show anything. Showing a $300 loser or a $500 winner when absolutely nothing happens, no pots of significance, is not something I'm out here to do. So I want to once again thank you guys for watching. If you have comments on the 10-9 of spades hand, I would love to hear them because I honestly have no fucking clue what I was supposed to do in that hand at any point. If you haven't done it yet, please hit that subscribe button. My producer and I really appreciate it. Having fun making these vlogs. I'll see you guys soon. Live King out.